here. Do not take that. That in Arabic refers to a definite article, al. The definite article, al. The definite article, al in Arabic sometimes means all and sometimes means some. Now, is it up to me and up to you to designate a meaning without looking at the rest of the scriptures? Then if we do that, we are reading the scripture with an eisegesis mentality, which is wrong. So when we want to read it with an exegesis approach, we find later on in the same sequence of verses that God is telling the community of faith then, do not take those who are mocking you, those who are making fun of you and they are conspiring against you, do not take them as awliya. And that is a very common sense advice. Wouldn't you agree? Now we need to spend time about what awliya means. Awliya does not mean simply friends. Awliya means protectors, confidant. That's what it means. And the context is determinative. Many times one word, it will mean something in one context, and it will mean another thing in another sequence. So the context is very determinative. And in the context means protectors. Do not take some of the Jews and some of the Christians as your protectors. And those sons are those who were not supporting of a faith that is coming from Abrahamic descent. And what will pinpoint this understanding is another verse in chapter 60, number 8. This verse is a beautiful verse. I love what God says in that verse. Say, God does not forbid you, meaning it's not befitting of God to forbid you. For those who did not conspire against you, those who did not drive you out of your homes, God does not forbid you to practice goodness with them. أَن تَبَرُّوهُم. This word bir implies respect, implies goodness, implies righteousness, implies love, implies compassion. Because that same word bir, it applied to the devotion or to the homage a person should deal with when he is dealing with his parents. They say birrul walidain, being good, extremely good with your parents. We are required to be good with our parents. That same concept, God used the same derivative when talking with the people who have not conspired against you. They did not conspire to drive you out of your homes. We're not talking about home foreclosures. I know how it's going now. And those who are not fighting against you on the sake of the faith that you have chosen for yourself. It's not befitting for God, for the goodness of God, for the love of God, for the compassion of God, for the mercy of God, for the clemency of God. It's not befitting of God for the good God that He is. It's not befitting of Him to tell you, do not do that. God is a good God. God is a loving God. God is a merciful God. And He wants us to depict His moral character in our everyday living. God created all of us in His image. He did not create Christians in His image, Muslims in somebody else's image. All humanity is created in the image of God. And being created in the image of God does not mean we are duplicates or replicas or reproduction of God. It does not mean that at all. But it means we can reflect the moral character of God in our human capacity. God is love and He wants us to be loving. God is merciful and He wants us to be merciful, and we have this ability. In comparison, for example, if we take a horse or a donkey or a cow and we say, Mr. Cow, from now on we want you to show more love and mercy to your fellow cows. He will tell you, they do not have the ability to reflect that, what we do. And the challenge we have ahead of us is not the religious label that you have on you, but your moral character. The moral character that enables us to get along with one another. I will give you, and this verse that I have mentioned to you is the principle, the guiding principle in terms of relationship. Then why would a person take a verse that speaks about an exception and build a case on the exception and let go of the guiding principle verse? Why would a person do that? Is it lack of knowledge, or what is the case? I leave you to ponder the question, and maybe you can share it with me afterwards. But the point is, when we come to build a case of one thing or another, we build the case on the guiding principles, not on the exceptions. Isn't there an exception in the Bible that says, if your brother sinned against you, take him to the church, and if he does not listen, take him again and have another person with you, and if he does not listen, treat him as a pagan or a tax collector? Is that the norm, or that the exception? That is the exception. So we cannot take an exception and make it the guiding principle to build a case. Remember, we need to be honest when we deal with issues, and God expects of us honesty. And through this honesty, we will be able to come together. For God has said in Proverbs 11:3, good people are guided by their honesty, and treacherous people are destroyed by their dishonesty. So through honesty in dealing with situations, circumstances, challenges, and attitudes, we will be able to facilitate goodness. We will be able to come closeness with one another. My favorite verse in the Quran when it deals to interfaith activities is verse number 48, chapter number 5. It says, we designated for each a law and a way. Had Allah willed, He would have made you all a single people, a single religious group. But He did not, that He might try you with what He has given you. So, vie with one another in doing good deeds. To Allah is your return, and He will let you know about that in which you used to differ. So here, God is telling us in this verse, had He willed, He would have made us all Jews if He wanted to, all Christians. And as you know, Christianity, there are many different sects in there, maybe one sect or another. Or all Muslims, whether they are one sect or another. Had God willed, He would be able to do that. But He did not. Why? Does He want us to just bicker and convert all of our energy to hostile energy? No, He said, vie with one another in doing good deeds. Yes, we can talk. We can have a rational talk about our differences. Grab a cup of coffee, go to a place, have a good talk, a good conversation. But at the end of the day, instead of wanting to just convert one another, we need to convert our energy to a positive energy, where we are vying with one another in doing good deeds for our community. There are many people who do not have enough food to eat. There are people who are widowed. There are people who are homeless. There are people who need support. Let us show them the love of God through our cooperation. We live in a home